Hello, hello. We are here with a 6A practice test. Gonna help you guys out with what you need to do on your test for Unit 6A. Get yourself a nice grade, heading on into winter break, and just some nice easy tricks and things you can remember on how to do some of these questions, because they are, for the most part, multiple choice, and that always makes things a little bit easier. Alright, these first six are all just your exponent properties. I swear, like all day today in class, I'm like, did you look at your notes page? Page in the notes has every one of these properties. You just kind of find things that match, helps you do some of the work. So here we've got the same base, 6 and 6, so that means we are going to add our exponents. That's a 6 to the 6 plus 2, which is where we're getting 6 to the 8. And lucky for you, we're not going to make you multiply 6 8 times and figure out that answer. Commonly missed easiest question on the test. Anything to the 0 power. It doesn't matter what is in here. You can write anything in here. Put it to the 0 power, it's going to equal 1. It's what 0 power does. I could tell you why, but it's a long story you don't care about. Now you got to be careful. If that's, 5x to the 0 power, if it gets written this way, that 0 has nothing to do with the 5, and this is the only part that becomes 1. 5 times 1. And that would be 5. Parentheses make all the difference when we're talking about exponents. So you've got to be careful, but generally our test question stays in similar fashion as the practice test question, so you should be alright. Alright, so here we're going to take a look at the first part, 49 and 7. What's 49 divided by 7? Hopefully we're getting 7 out of that. Things that we don't see a 7 involved in, we can automatically eliminate. Now, 12 and 2. I don't even know how you would get a 9, really. I mean, that's just some crazy stuff. But what you're going to do here to get the 10 is you do the 12 minus the 2. So we've got x to the 12 minus 2. When you're dividing, it's kind of like what we did before, only now dividing you subtract rather than multiply as add. 12 minus 2 gives us x to the 10 power. Right, here, again, we're going to do the same type of process. 15 over 5 is going to give me a 3 on the top. There's no negatives involved. I don't know what you're going to do wrong to get that 3 on the bottom. Nothing's negative, just 15 divided by 5 is 3. So already we're down to 2 choices. We just basically need to decide now, is the y going to be on top, x on bottom, or vice versa. So here, let's take a look at my x exponents. Now since there isn't anything there, that means that's really a 1. So there's a couple ways we can think about this. We got x to the negative 5 minus the 1 on the bottom. That would give me x to the negative 6, which means it's going to go on the bottom of my fraction, and I know this is going to be my answer. You could also think about that negative 5 means it's going to go to the bottom of the fraction, so you'd end up with x to the 1 and x to the 5 on the bottom, which would also give you that same x to the 6 on the bottom. With the y, we already know our answer, but it's good to figure that out. We got y to the 4 minus, and now this is going to be negative 1. So negative negative makes this one a positive. And so that's why our top answer there, y to the 5 on the top, because that negative becomes positive. So nice and easy, but you got to take it little part by little part and just go one at a time, and you can work those out. So here, kind of like our power to a power thing, every one of these, since there isn't anything, is like a to the 1 power. So everybody gets multiplied by the 3. So we end up with negative 4 to the 3rd, x to the 3rd, y to the 3rd. So these ones are going to be gone because our x and y didn't get anything going on. And as long as you remember that 4 to the 3rd power is not going to be 4 times 3 is 12, then we know it's going to be 64. That's 4 times 4 times 4. It's negative because if you do negative 4 3 times, only 2 of these are going to cancel out, and we're still left with this guy. So that's why our odd powers are always going to leave the negative sign there. Even powers will get rid of it because there'll be an even amount to pair up and cancel out. Here it's the same basic idea. We do need to remember that this x to the 1 is going to get multiplied by 3, as well as everything else. We're not adding, we're multiplying. So that's going to be x to the 3, y to the 4 over z to the 3 times 6 is 18. Where's that answer at here? Oh, I wrote y to the 4. Silly me. Gotta multiply that. And I'm sure you're looking at that. Why did he do that? Yeah, 3 times 4 is the 12 here. So x3, y12, is that right here? There we go, B. Alright, moving on, number 7. A couple different ways we can do this. I'm going to think about 6x. I'm going to write my minus sign, then write its like term, which is the x. That's going to give me 5x, so I know wrong and wrong. Next up, 7, write my minus sign, then write what's in here, minus 10. That's what they're hoping they're going to mess up, and they're just going to get this negative 3, but you're not going to be fooled. You're going to get that 17 and get this final answer here. Both those negatives, because you've got this guy and this guy canceling out to make it plus. Do not be fooled. Multiply. How do we multiply these things? Oh, we can all say it together. Box method. Bam. This one's going to be our crazy one because we've got our 3 terms here. And then our b and minus 5. Please, 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 please write your symbols in here. These plus signs, minus sign right here, it helps. So many times I realize the only thing people are doing wrong is just positives and negatives. You know it's you. You know you've done it. Write them in here. Don't make those mistakes. Why do all the work just to make a little mistake and get it wrong? So as we're multiplying here, we want to remember this is a b to the 1 power. So squared times 1 makes the 3, and so forth. I'm going to fill it out like so. And now we just need to decide where our like terms are going to combine. So b cubed minus 5b squared and 5b squared, those are going to cancel each other. But here they are not, so I got 7b minus 25b's. That's going to give me a big negative 18b's. And my minus 35 is still there, leaving me with D for my final answer. Nice, and just old school stuff from a couple chapters ago. We've been doing boxes for a while. Alright, factoring. Every time we're looking at factoring or solving by factoring, which is going to be most of the rest of the test except for the graphing stuff, first thing we want to think of is, do they have anything in common? Is there something that we can get rid of? Well, everybody's got an x and everybody's even, so I'm going to write a 2x on the outside. Divide everything by 2 and drop the powers by x in order to get that guy out here. So 2 times 9 is going to make that. That's a 9x squared minus 3x and plus 5 here. And I think that gives me C is my only answer. If you realize that 2x is the thing that you're pulling out, you're only going to have 2 choices for that. And if we look at multiplying here, 2x times 9x cubed, that's going to give me an x to the 4, which is not what we have here. So we should be able to eliminate that way. And these guys didn't have the right thing being pulled out. So make sure you're looking at number and variable for what you're going to be able to factor out. Here we got everything factored. We just need to think about whenever we are getting our solutions out of our factors, we're going out of the parentheses. We need our opposite answers, so we're going to need a negative 5, positive 3, positive 13, and that's really how easy it is. But there's still kids that are just going to write the numbers that are sitting here, and they're going to get it wrong. Negative 5, positive 3, positive 13, looking like D over here. Factoring completely. This is our special pattern, the trinomial, or is it cubic, binomial cubed thing. So this is really x cubed plus 2 cubed, and it's a pattern, but this is all we need to remember about it. The pattern is the long one. It's one of these two. So we're not going to choose these 2 answers. They're too short, too easy. Whatever symbol you see here is what you're going to look for here and get B for our answer. This one here would have been x cubed minus 8. So if that minus sign was in there, you'd be looking for the minus sign here. Plus sign, long thing with the plus. Minus sign, long thing with the minus. You get that one right every time without having to remember it. Although we would love for you to remember things. Alright. I want to make sure we read over here. We're talking about end behavior. Which way is our graph going to be going? Positive infinity means we're talking about as it goes to the right. Now the only thing that matters here is this front guy. This stuff does not matter to us as far as our general idea. Negative means my right side is going to be going down. Now if we cared, the 6 would mean our left side would also be going down, and we'd have our stuff going on in the middle. But this is a negative infinity for my right side, and I'm going to choose B. 13. This time we're talking about our left side, the negative infinity. So what's happening on the left? Again, here 5 is positive, so my right side is up. Even number means my left side is going to match, so my left side is going to be positive infinity. Factor this out completely. My first thought, do these guys have anything in common? No. So, second thought, how do we factor this? I'm going to go back to some AC method and think about 5 times negative 3 gives me negative 15. What is going to add up to the 14 in the middle? Well, that's going to be a 15 and a 1. My 1's going to be the negative, the 15 the positive, because my 14 is positive. So this is our situation where our thing is going to split. We get our 5x squared plus our 15x minus 1x minus 3. Now we're going to do our factor by groups, or factoring by parts. 5 and 5 means a 5 comes out. Both of them got an x. And 5x times what makes 5x squared is going to be x. 5x times what makes 15? 3. Remember this negative sign right here? Still see kids forgetting to bring that down with it. The nice thing about that is it's also going to pull this one out with it for the most part. So just kind of like they both get pulled out, we write the negative here. 1 and 3 got nothing in common but a 1. And then that turns this into plus because the negative sign got pulled out. X plus 3 they have in common. And then 5x minus 1 is going to be my other factor. Dunzo. That's all you got to do. AC method. By now it should feel pretty easy, but who knows. Alright, now we got to solve. If we're going to solve and we're not using our complete the square method, and we're not, we need to have everything over on one side. So I need to bring this over and subtract it. X cubed plus 2x squared minus 120x equal to 0. We've got to have it equal to 0, otherwise factoring and all that stuff ain't going to work. Second thought, do they have anything in common? Yes, they do. They all have an x. So I'm going to factor that out. Equals 0. So everybody just dropped a power of x. My x back here got dropped off completely because it's out front. That means one of my answers is going to be 0, that x out front. Now secondly, what multiplies the 120 but subtracts the 2? I'm hoping you're thinking, that's got to be 12 and 10. X plus 12 because this is positive, so my bigger one's positive. X minus 10 equals 0. And if you can get to this point, you're going to get 2 out of the 3 points for this question. But we're not getting them all until we get 0 for this guy, negative 12 for this guy, and positive 10 here. And technically we should write them in order, but I don't really care. Dobson will probably be mad at me though. She does that sometimes. Sorry, Dobby. Alright, 16. Oh, we're not going to get through all these. Almost though. Alright, so here x to the 4 and x squared is probably scaring you, but we're just going to do x squared here, x squared there, equals 0. What multiplies at 8? Subtracts to make 6. Oh no, they add up to 6. They're both negative. That's going to be 4 and 2. 2 times 4 makes 8. Negative 2 and negative 4 make the 6. So as we go and solve those, this one's going to be x plus 2, x minus 2. This one doesn't have anything special going on, so we're going to leave it. So that's our difference of squares pattern here to get these two guys. X squared minus 2, we got to put it actually equal to 0 and solve it. Take our square root, so we get x equals plus or minus the square root of 2. So all of our answers, we got plus and minus 2 from these guys, and plus or minus square root of 2 here. Video number 2. Check it out for the rest.